Come, let us explore the most powerful meditation benefits ever. Together, let us relaxingly recite this chapter of the Easy Enlightenment Meditation Manual, which is available for free download using the links below. Together. The Nobel laureate Albert Einstein is said to have quipped, "Any intelligent fool can make things bigger, more complex, and more violent. However, it takes a touch of genius and a lot of courage to move in the opposite direction." And a vast ocean-like throng of rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel fools. There are many who insist that enlightenment is attainable only for the special few who live in a special place, in a special time, with special companions, and who have received special teachings from a special teacher because they're so damn special and we're not. But that is not what the Buddha taught. Real or typical, he taught that enlightenment was as simple as mastering the Eightfold Path, and that could be done in as little as 7 days. How egalitarian is that? The keys to a right view that facilitates letting go, kind intentions, communication, conduct, as well as commerce, and the effortless effort of having our choices, utterances, and deeds flow from love's centered spontaneity are simply mindfulness and meditation. For when practiced enthusiastically, sustainably, and effectively, mindfulness and meditation are the spiritual equivalent of a Swiss Army knife. In the golden age of proto-Buddhism, before the folly of institutionalism set in like black mold infesting a cabin in the woods, the only teachings were the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, the Four Bases of Mindfulness, and the 7 Enlightenment Factors, which contained the essence of all morality, loving kindness. Remember, actively striving to focus upon or analyze loving kindness could produce nothing more than a mere analog, pale and flaccid and worthless and weak. For the highest love, spontaneous and uncontrived, is the effortless byproduct of mindfulness and meditation. Yearning to do the loving thing is all well and fine, but how could we know what the right thing is, what the most kind manner is in which to do it, and when the most kind time is in which it must be done? Centered spontaneity. When our choices, utterances, and deeds flow from centered spontaneity, which in turn is generated by our practice of mindfulness and meditation, love's kindness is as natural, effortless, and potent as our next breath. For those of us who feel keen to devote themselves to an Ajahn, Roshi, Shifu, or Lama, our ultimate teacher is simply our mindfulness and meditation, for the sole purpose of our outer teacher is to acquaint us with the inner teacher, which could be done in but a single sitting. For those who are keen to make offerings, there's no finer object of such gifts than our teacher who is kind enough to give us instruction and to answer our questions. Although optional donations could be lovely, the greatest offering we could make to our teacher is none other than the enthusiastic and sustainable practice of their instructions, whose essence is none other than mindfulness and meditation. For those of us who long for the purification of our so-called karmic negativities and their propensities, there is no finer antidote than mindfulness and meditation. For those of us who enthusiastically seek protection from the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, there is no greater safety to be had than by passively noticing whatever past, present, or potential dreads spontaneously cartwheel across the metaphoric stage of mind as we effortlessly sit in mindfulness, and then viscerally relax in harmony with meditation's next exhalation. For those of us who are eager to manifest the fulfillment of all mental, interpersonal, physical, and circumstantial needs. As we inhale, we but only have to vulnerably notice the spontaneous and sundry desires that dance like sugar plums in children's dreams. And meditatively relax and release as we breathe out. Recent centuries have seen a rise in the popularity of training in the 3 marks of reality, or tilakkhana. Yet, as we sit in mindfulness once every 12 hours or so, we cannot help but automatically notice, recall, or anticipate stress, or dukkha. And as we meditatively relax into our exhalations, we cannot help but viscerally experience how that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel temporary, or anicca, and as non-graspable, as if they simply did not define us, or anatta. Even the tyranny exerted by the 5 mental poisons over our choices, utterances, and deeds is easily tamed through mindfulness and meditation. First, as we meditatively relax into our exhalation, whatever dread we vulnerably noticed during our previous inhalation could melt into the simplicity of mirror-like wisdom. Second, as we meditatively relax into our exhalation, whatever desire we passively noticed during our previous inhalation could melt into the simplicity of discerning wisdom. Third, as we meditatively relax into our exhalation, whatever turmoil we vulnerably noticed during our previous inhalation could melt into the simplicity of all-pervading wisdom. Fourth, as we meditatively release into our exhalation, whatever jealousy we randomly noticed during our previous inhalation could melt into the simplicity of all-accomplishing wisdom. Fifth, as we meditatively relax into our exhalation, whatever pride we fleetingly noticed during our previous inhalation could melt into the simplicity of equalizing wisdom. Each complex life form upon this big blue marble we call Earth has evolved to be hedonistic at heart. Yet no thing, being, or phenomena can give us as much of the bliss on tap as that which is afforded by the easy practice of mindfulness and meditation. Come, let us walk in the Buddha's footsteps, practicing mindfulness and meditation. Having completed our opening lesson, it's time for us to shift gears. It is Ahsoka Tano Thursday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is the Dzogchen Sunday Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I have harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I can become your personal, nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. For the remainder of this morning's live stream, let's play with the latest iteration of very easy meditation practice text, or sadhana, if you're nasty. In elementary school, I didn't have a lot of common sense, and so I did not know that the way we run for a 100-yard dash is completely different than the way we run for a 10K. And so I tried to run a 10K on the balls of my feet the way you'd run a sprint. Needless to say, I injured myself, and it was terribly ineffective and most unpleasant. As Scotty once chided in Star Trek the original series, "Aye, laddie, the right tool for the right job." And so, every breath, we are faced with a choice. Do we cooperate with our Buddha nature, our autonomic nervous system, or do we compete against it? The way we typically compete against it is by using our medial prefrontal cortex to actively focus and using our dorsolateral prefrontal cortex to actively analyze. But instead of doing it for a sprint, we try doing it for a marathon, which exhausts the front of our brain, sets us up to present with the symptoms of depression, triggers our amygdala, which is the seat of both anxiety and aggression. Now, fortunately, neither the amygdala nor the prefrontal cortex constitute the entirety of our central nervous system. Case in point, every time we inhale, we are already wired by evolution to automatically access the sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us to notice in a very special way, to help us to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, which is the opposite of the rigidity of concentration. So we've evolved to notice all manner of phenomena. Perceptions, emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, imaginings, all manner of things, from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. Every time we exhale, We are wired to automatically access the parasympathetic nervous system, ensconced within or divided between the lower third and the upper third of that same spinal cord. Our parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to physically relax and mentally release to such a degree that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, and even less defining. So here's the choice in a nutshell. When we choose to actively compete against our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, we set ourselves up to intensify our anxiety and aggression. When we passively cooperate with our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, we set ourselves up to calm our anxiety and aggression and to stimulate our anterior cingulate gyrus, which functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy, the root of both compassion and love. But the key is passivity. How do we passively cooperate? It's very simple. We silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. And we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation. Just like Michael Jackson sang Ease on Down the Road in The Wiz way back in the 70s. When the crust of the earth was still cooling. So together, let us play with this exercise as we sit as comfortably and sustainably as we can while honoring our body's temporary limitations. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist philosophy or meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I tend to check for questions once every 20 minutes or so. Let's dig in. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10.5 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class as well as group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.